Do you need a business license to operate your Shopify store in the UAE? There is always a lot of confusion around if you need a business license for your small business on Shopify or for your dropshipping business on Shopify. I have received this question so many times in my DMs on both my Instagram and TikTok, and in the comments as well around the same topic of how does it work? Do I need a license? How can I sell in the US being in the UAE? Can I sell in the UAE if I have a company in the US, and so on? In today's video, we're going to discuss all of this. Let's get started. Hey everyone, my name is Oren and welcome back to my channel. If you're interested in learning more about online businesses, mindset, and all things entrepreneurship, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Your support means the world to me. First things first, when it comes to Shopify, the rules and permissions will vary from country to country. This video is for people who are planning to start an e-com business in the UAE. And so of course, we're discussing the laws of UAE when it comes to doing any kind of business here. And these laws will apply for you even when you're setting up your Shopify store. So if you're in a different part of the world, this would be different for you. But nonetheless, I would like to say that this video will be worth a watch because this should be the foundation of setting up your business from any part of the world. So if you're based in the UAE, the first and the most important thing that you need to understand is that if you want to start a business here legally, you will require a license for it. The UAE law says that if you're going to sell anything here, you're 100% going to need a license for it. It doesn't matter what kind of business it is, whether it's a physical business, a brick or mortar, or an e-commerce shop. You will require a trade license, and you will also need to open a corporate bank account to run the business. There are options when you're opening a company. You can either choose to open in the mainland or you can choose to open in the free zone, but you'll have to establish a company. Now, when it comes to Shopify and you sign up with Shopify, it may look like initially that you don't need any of this. Sign up process of Shopify is easy, and it's even easier to get a free template and set your website up in minutes. And this is because Shopify is such a great platform and so easy to use. I personally only use Shopify for all my businesses and I highly recommend it. In case you haven't signed up with Shopify yet, I'll leave a link for you in the description box below. You can go ahead and sign up with that. Back to what we were discussing, whether you're building a brand of your own or you're doing Shopify dropshipping, until this part, it will be easy and you'll be good to go. Now, here is what will happen. When you will go to set up the back end of your store, you will not be able to move ahead with anything. When you go to set up the two most important things in your store, which is the shipping and delivery and payments, you'll be asked for documentations by the companies whom you'll be using for these services. So for example, for shipping and delivery, it will give you the option for FedEx or UPS. You can also find local shipping companies who have their apps inside of Shopify store and who can do for you shipping and delivery, but they will all ask you for a trade license. Unless you have your legal documents in place and you have submitted to either UPS, FedEx, or whoever you are using, you will not be able to go ahead with the integration. This will also apply when you go to set up your payment gateway in your Shopify. For example, for USA-based stores, they have Shopify payments and they can set that up directly inside of Shopify and they do not need to go through a payment gateway. But if you're based in the UAE, then you'll have to set up a payment gateway. There are many payment gateways that are there and that works for UAE, and you can go ahead with whichever one you choose. But the very first thing that they will ask you is for a trade license. So getting a trade license is the first thing that you need to do if you're setting up your Shopify store. It really is not that complicated or difficult. All you need to do is follow the law and legalities of UAE if you are planning to do business in the UAE. Another question a lot of people have is that if you are based in the UAE and you have registered a company, for example, in Australia, then what happens to your Shopify store in that case? If you have registered your business in Australia, then you need to follow the law and regulations of Australia. It doesn't matter if you're in the UAE or in the UK or in the US. If you have registered your business in Australia, then you will need to follow the rules and regulations of Australia. Different countries have different regulations to run a business. So for example, if it's Australia, you need to find out that do you even need a license to operate a business in Australia? Do they have anything like an e-commerce business license? Do they have a specific kind of business license for online stores? Or is it that you can just operate your online store with a normal business license? It really all depends on the country, and you'll have to do a little bit of your own research when you're starting a business in that particular country. Some more questions that I got was around the same topic of, are you allowed to sell in another country being in a different country. When it comes to your Shopify store or any other kind of website platform, actually, you are selling globally and you are allowed to sell anywhere in the world. To put it simply, your website is on the web and it's global. You can sell from anywhere to anyone in the world when it's going through your website. When you're setting up your shipping and delivery in your Shopify store, you'll have the option for marketplaces and you'll be able to activate international shipping. Shipping and delivery, payments, payment gateway, and checkout currency are the things that will let anyone from anywhere in the world buy from you. Let's dive a little deeper about what we were discussing earlier about if you have registered in Australia being in the UAE. So if you're a resident in UAE or even just visiting UAE for a while and you have registered a business in Australia, and for example, someone from Oman is buying from your website, they will absolutely be able to buy from you as long as you are following the regulations of Australia for e-commerce. You may be in the UAE, but when the purchase happens from Oman, it will go to the Australian entity. So you need to follow the regulations of Australia, and technically your Shopify store should be Australian based. This is what Shopify prefers. They will tell you to use the location of the store and you will not be able to change it later. So this was about UAE and how it's gonna work for you if you're based in the UAE, and this is the scenario. The other kind of question I got is also very similar to this one, and that is if you are in the US and you have registered a company in Australia, then what happens in that case? I think I've covered enough and you guys know the answer now. So of course for this also you're going to follow the Australian law and regulations for e-commerce stores, and you will be setting up your Shopify store through Shopify Australia. Selling products to customers all over the world is all about setting up your store correctly and then to market in those countries to those customers. You can be in the UAE and you can have a dropshipping store and your customer base can absolutely be from the UK and the US. Selling to your customers all over the world has got nothing to do with a trade license. It's got to do with your settings in your Shopify store. You'll have to set up the international marketplace like I mentioned before. But you will need a trade license if you are setting up your store from the UAE. Hope that cleared up all the confusions and questions. I have other videos on e-commerce license in the UAE. I'll leave the links for those in my description box below. You can watch them if you need. Shopify trial sign up link is also in the description box below for you guys. You can sign up with that if you haven't yet. In conclusion, if you're setting up any kind of business in the UAE, you will need a business license. You'll need to open a business bank account and you'll need to get your tax registration certificate sorted when you're eligible for it. If this video was helpful or added any value, please give us a thumbs up. Also subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for watching.